wacky world of wigs. Welcome to the world of wigs. Throughout recorded history, people have had an obsession with hair. From ancient Egyptian culture to modern civilization, wigs have played an important role in this obsession. Wigs have been formed for many reasons, from fashion to social standing. What's a wig? Wigs come in many styles, from full wigs to toupees and extensions. Full wigs cover the entire top and the sides of the head down to the neck. Toupees only cover a part of the head, from the forehead to the top of the crown, and the front of one ear of the other to the other. The person's own hair is exposed at the back of the head. Extensions are sections of hair of fiber that are attached to the existing wigs or natural hair, and pins, clips, or glue. Extensions create a fuller or longer look. Wigs can be made for many different things: wool, goat or horsehair, straw or grasses, and even certain kinds of plastic, such as nylon. For centuries, wigs made from human hair were frequency to most desire because they look the most natural. It often took between 6 to 10 heads of human hair to make one wig. Those wigs were also more expensive than other options, so only very wealthy people wore them. What's in a wig? Until the 1700s, wigs were often specially made for each individual, which made them too expensive for most. A tight-fitting men's cap with a fabric base was made up to fit the hair. The hair of other material was then looped around the mesh, tied up, and attached to the base fabric with beeswax, resin, or glue. Once attached, the hair could be styled to match the fashion of the times. In the 1700s, wigs that could fit anyone became popular. A ribbon at the edge of the cap could be tightened for a good fit, but these wigs could fit many different sizes. Because these wigs could fit many different sizes of heads, the prices dropped and the wigs became more affordable. The first wigs. The oldest known wigs date back to 400 BC in Egypt. Many people in Egypt wore wigs to look like their gods and to cover bald spots. A full head or hair was sign of strength and health. The Egyptians believed their gods had fancy, thick braid hair, so they made wigs in the same style. Even back then, the length varied. Some wigs were neck length, some shoulder length, and others fell to the waist. All of them were thick, with curls and braids. Some people added extensions to the wigs to make them even fuller. The hair was often said to be a light coating of beeswax, so it will hold its shape, like modern hairspray. In Egypt, people at every level of society wore wigs. Kings and his family wore wigs made of human hair and decorated with ivory and silver. They had hairstyles of who maintained their wigs. Wealthy people could afford wigs made up of wool or goat hair, while poor people could only afford straw wigs. Vanishing baldness in Greece and Rome. Wealthy people in the two later world empires also wore false hair. The noblewomen of ancient Greece and Rome wore wigs with many braids and curls pinned up. The more braids and the more ornate the style, the higher their social status. The wealthy men and women of Rome wore wigs to hide their bald spots. They favored blonde, and red hair. Some Romans kept blonde and red hair slaved, so they would have hair available for their wigs. Some Roman emperors wore wigs as disguises, so they could go outside the palace without being recognized. Their goal was to get an idea of what everyday people really thought of them. The fashionable French hair. From the end of Roman Empire through the next several centuries, wigs use wig use lost popularity. Then, in the early 17th century, King Louis, ruler of France, brought wigs back into fashion. At the age of 23, he began to lose his hair. He worried that people in the royal court would have less respect for him if they thought he was going bald. To find his hair loss, he wore wigs that looked like his natural hairstyle. Many noblemen wanted to look like the king, so they began to wear the same style of wig. During this time period, it was mainly men who wore full wigs. Some added extensions to wigs to make them even fuller and thicker. Some women who were losing their hair also wore wigs. Women who had a fully haired or hair added extensions to their hairstyles. Wigs go over the top. As clothing fashions at the royal courts became fancier, the need for fancier hairstyles also grew. This meant an increased demand of the wigs and extensions. Women would style their hair, both real and false, or a frame or pillow on their head to create shapes. Then the style was done with a large pig fat, and the whole thing was powdered to keep the style in place. Certain styles were 3 feet 0.91 meter tall. Some women had model shapes placed into their hairstyles. These styles were also complicated that women would leave them in for months without combing or washing their hair. The large uses said these hairstyles would spoil over time. Cockroaches, mice, and even rats would build nests in the hair. Women carried a long stick with a claw on the end. The stick allowed them to scratch inside the hair without disturbing their hairstyle. By the 18th century, wigs were used by almost everyone in the Eastern Europe who involved with the royal courts and certain professions. The wigs were part of a uniform for doctors, lawyers, judges, and members of the church. These wigs were often made for horsehair, which was stiff and thick, but also cheaper than human hair. Even when the large curled powder wigs fell out of fashion, these professionals continued to wear them in public for this day. Judges and lawyers in the United Kingdom court system wear wigs as a part of their uniforms. Topis came into fashion during the 18th century too. while, while still curled and powdered. They are more cooler and lighter to wear. Full wigs were extremely hot and also quite heavy. By the 1850s, many people in Europe had stopped wearing wigs. Some people often saw them as a luxury only for the rich could afford. Some people collected old wigs and sold them in the streets for small sums of money. People bought them to use as floor mats and polishing racks. Hair today, gone tomorrow. As technology improved in the 20th century, people began to create wigs out of nylon threads. Nylon resembles human hair but cost much less. It also allowed for a larger choice of colors, which gave people an even greater variety of looks and locks. Today, people continue to wear wigs for many reasons. They wear them in a pure fashionable reasons, fashionable and stylish, or simply to change their appearance. People who are bald or losing their hair wear wigs to boost their self-esteem. Performers such as clowns or actors might wear wigs as a part of their costumes. Styles have changed depending on the fashion of the time, but whether they are long or short, fancy or plain, wigs have played an important role in human history. Who knows what will be the next great fashionable hairstyle will be?